Hello and welcome to the How to Network on Facebook training video number 2, the power of networking in groups. This is Sherry Anderson and I am going to jump right in and we are going to get started today talking about the power of networking in groups, because that is where you are going to find all of those ideal clients, those potential business partners and referral partners and collaboration partners. So we're going to talk about how to do that today. So the purpose of networking is to build relationships with people, because people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And you're going to hear me say that over and over and over again. We have to build the know, like, and trust. We can't just go out there trying to sell our products and services all the time. We have to get to know people. We have to get to like people. We have to build that trust so that they can then purchase from you. And here's the thing. People refer people who they know, like, and trust. So you want to make sure that as you're building these relationships, that you're not just looking for those ideal clients. Never discount any relationship that you build, because you never know who you're talking to and who that person might know. So here's what we're going to cover in this training video. We're going to cover, first of all, the basic key of building relationships. Then we're going to talk about how to build relationships in Facebook groups. The third thing is the importance of name recognition on Facebook. And finally, we will talk about finding your Facebook groups. So first thing, the basic key of building relationships is that relationships are built one interaction at a time. Remember that, because all relationships, whether you're online or offline, your relationships are built one interaction at a time. Now on Facebook, it's the same thing. Relationships are built one interaction at a time. And you can do this in Facebook groups when people show up consistently. Because think about that. Let's say, for example, that you meet someone at a networking event in your local town, and you meet them and you're like, hello, and you shake hands and you ask them, what do you do? And you guys talk a little bit, and then you go your separate way. And then you come back and you come to the same networking event again, and you're like, oh, it's so-and-so, it's so good to see you. And you've already got that foundation of a relationship built. Well, it's the same thing on Facebook, because you go onto Facebook and you read a post and you like it and you comment on it. And then they comment back to you. And then you post your own post. And because you've already commented on their post, it's going to show up in their news feed, or it's going to show up in their notifications. And then they'll go and look at your post, and then they'll comment on your post, and then you can comment back. And then from there you take and you look at their personal profile maybe, and if it looks like someone that you would be interested in being friends with, you might ask to be friends with them. And that's how you start getting that relationship building. And the thing is that the more you comment on other people's posts, the more their posts are going to show up in your news feed, and your posts are going to show up in their news feeds. So you want to make sure that as you're posting, you're all building these relationships and you're getting in front of each other. And that's why the consistency is really important, because if you stop doing these things, Facebook will stop showing your posts to people. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. So how to build relationships in Facebook groups? There are only 4 things that you need to do. The first thing is that you need to be consistent. Secondly, you need to be your authentic professional self. That means that you come forward and you write your post with an authentic voice, a natural voice from your heart. Not all salesy, not all trying to be perfect, but come out there as yourself, because that's what people want to see. but be professional about it. Don't have, a million misspellings and, grammar errors everywhere. I mean, I check all of my posts in Microsoft Word before I post onto Facebook because I'm a terrible speller. And I'll just tell you that right now. And my grammar is not the best. So I go through and I check everything in Microsoft Word. Now I might not on my comments, but like on the posts that I create, I always create them in Word and then post them into groups or onto my personal timeline or whatever. But make sure that you present yourself as a professional. Now, also, you want to make sure that you're thinking about the other person. And in thinking about the other person, it's going to allow you to really care about how they're doing. How are you showing them support? What can you do to support them in the growth of their business? And then finally, you need to initiate your own posts. And that's what's going to allow you to be seen as an expert. Because when you post your own post, people get to know you, they get to know your voice, they get to know what you know, how you view the world, what you believe in, and that really will draw and attract those ideal clients to you. And these are the 4 things that you need to do to build relationships in Facebook groups. So what does being consistent look like? It means you're going to show up in the same groups 3 to 7 times a week. And for the challenge, I would just like you to focus on my Radiant Mompreneurs group if you're new to networking in Facebook groups. If you're not, you can branch out and do other groups. But if you're not real comfortable with networking in Facebook groups and posting daily or 3 to 7 times a week, go ahead and just focus on the Radiant Mompreneurs group and in this challenge to accomplish and get the most out of it so you get comfortable, because the Radiant Mompreneurs group is a place where we're supportive and we're all going to be supportive and allow you to get comfortable with networking and posting your own content. Now, this next thing that you need to do when you're being consistent is that you need to read other people's posts and comment on them consistently, one at a time. So now I know this can get a little out of hand, and depending on how many people are posting in the group, you don't have to post on every single person's post because that could get out of hand. And if you set a time limit for yourself, go through and find some posts that look interesting to read and post on those and comment on them. But don't feel that you have to post or you don't have to read every single post that goes into the challenge. But you just want to make sure that you're doing it consistently and supporting each other consistently. Now, you want to make sure that you're posting your own stuff consistently. That's the last thing that you need to do. And that's based upon the group guidelines. And that's not necessarily every day, but at least a few times a week. And that's usually a minimum of 2 to 3 times per week, posting your own stuff into the group. Now, here's the thing. With the challenge, I want us to be as involved as possible. So as much as you can post and follow the prompts to get you used to networking in Facebook groups, the more that we can all follow every single day and post as much, at least 5 times a week. Because, even if you want to take a day or 2 off, that's fine. But, try and show up for the challenge. That way you get the most out of it. So what does showing up as your authentic professional self mean? It means be yourself so that we get to know you. And you want to write original content for each group as much as possible and write from your heart. Now, I know I am guilty of this, of writing out a post and, posting it to multiple groups. And I know it's a time saver. And I think we all understand that. But as much as possible, you want to write original content. But like I said, it's completely understandable. As long as you're following the group guidelines, having content that you're sharing on different groups is okay. And like I said, people understand as busy mompreneurs that you don't always have time to write original content for every single group that you're a part of. But when you do have a chance, come in and be original every once in a while. Now, the next thing that you need to show up authentically is talk about your personal life at times so that you form a stronger connection with your audience. You don't want to be all about business all the time. People want to know you, and you is what you are. No matter what you're selling, no matter if it's a service or a product, you are what's being sold to people. They want to know what you're doing. They want to connect with you. If they're going to buy something, they want to know who they're buying from. I mean, you can have the most amazing titles and the most catchy sales copy and everything, but if they don't know you, they don't like you and trust you, that's not going to matter at all. They want to know that your baby is sick, or they want to know that you're having a tough time and that you're struggling, or there's a fine balance of how much you share, and each person is different depending on who your audience is. You just have to find that balance of how much personal life to share versus how much not to hold back. And I know with my family, I will share about my family and what's going on. I share more of my personal stuff on my personal page, and I'll share experiences and stories on the group pages, but I won't get into a lot of the intimate details. And because my husband and I've had discussions, I'm not posting pictures of the kids or of my husband because he doesn't want the family and the kids pictures all over the internet. And that's completely understandable. So very seldom will you ever see me post pictures, but I will talk about my family. And finally, a way to be authentic is to tell us about your work. If you don't tell us what you do, we won't know who to refer to you, or if we even want to buy from you. So make sure that you are telling us what you do, because so many times people will show up in groups and we won't have a clue what you do, because it takes a lot of repetition in order for people to remember us. So you have to get out there and say it over and over and over again. So don't feel like you're doing too much, but make sure that you tell us about your work. Now, so what does it mean to think about the other person? Karma. It means that you need to read, like, and comment on other people's posts. We all like that. Who doesn't like it when you post something and you get comments and likes and people are having conversations because of your post? People love that. You also need to give people feedback or support when they ask for it, and share their links when it feels right or when they ask you to. So by sharing the links, you're supporting them, and they will value that relationship, and they'll know who shared their links. So it's super important, and people will value those relationships. Now and you'll also be considering working with people in your Facebook networking groups and building collaboration projects, whether you're doing a summit or you're doing a guest blog post or a guest podcast appearance, or you may find someone that has a TV show or an online show video opportunity where they can do a video interview with you. Whatever it is, the people that you're going to network with, you're going to have opportunities to expand your business and get more visibility working with people that you meet in these groups. Now, why should you initiate your own post? Now, this is a big one because there's so many times I know people get in this habit of just going into groups and liking and commenting on other people's posts, but you need to give people a way to get to know you by posting in the group. And keep posting even if no one responds at first. And read and respond to other people's comments on your post. Like I said before, if you go into a group for the first time and you post, you may or may not get many views on that post, especially if it's a larger group, because you can get lost in the news feed if it's a large group. With smaller groups, you'll probably show up. But if they don't know you, they may not like or comment on your post. So you want to get into the group and comment and like other people's posts. That way, like I said, because you've commented and liked on theirs and they responded back to you, Facebook recognizes that. And then when you post in a group, it's going to show up in either in their news feed or it'll show up in their notifications, and then they can click on it and go see what you had to say. So that's how you can start getting that interaction and get it really developed and allow your post to get more visible. Because here's the thing, when your post has been commented on 2 or 3 times, then you have those people who are in the groups who are, watchers. You remember our watcher from the first video. Once they see that a post has had 2 or 3 comments, then they're more willing to come out and comment on these posts, which then spreads it even further. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. Now, to review how to build relationships in Facebook groups, you need to be consistent. You need to be your authentic professional self. You need to think about the other person, and you need to initiate your own posts. That's how you are going to build relationships in Facebook groups. Now, the importance of name recognition on Facebook. And this is my process on Facebook, sort of explain how this works. The first thing I need to do is I need to see someone's name several times before I start to recognize it and remember it. And after seeing someone's name about 10 to 20 times, I start to wonder who she is, and I may visit her personal page. And once I recognize a person's name, I start to perk up when I see it and wonder what that person has to say. And when that person shares an interesting offer, like a webinar or something else, I'll likely consider either doing it for myself or sharing it with my Facebook friends that I know might be interested in it. It's about, if I just posted, once or twice, people aren't going to recognize me, and they're not going to recognize you. So you have to do it consistently. It takes, 10 to 20 times of seeing someone to really know who they are and really remember what they're about, especially if they're very consistent with their messaging. Now, that's a totally different story for people who are out there that are posting and they have no consistency in their business messaging, because you're like, what in the world does this person do? So they're probably finding it a struggle to get traction in their business because they're so all over the place. But you want to make sure that you stay focused in what your messaging is. That way, when they've seen you for 10 to 20 times, they really have a good feeling about who you are and what you do in your business. So when I visit a person's personal page, you need to make sure you have info about your work on your personal page. And you need to have a link to your business page if you have one, and you need to have a link to your website in the About section. That way, when someone goes to your personal page, it's very clear who you are, what your business is, who you help, and what you do. You want to make sure that you have all of these things on your personal page to make it as easy as possible and clear and simple for people to understand who you are and what you do. Now, finding your groups. Your groups on Facebook should include groups with your ideal clients and other entrepreneurs, because the groups that your ideal clients are in, that's where you're going to go and really show your expertise. But you also want to make sure that you're in groups with other entrepreneurs so that you can get your questions answered and for growth and information and support. So you want both types of groups. And there's every niche imaginable for groups on Facebook. So just go up into the search tab at the top and you can find, type in whatever you need to look up. Say you want to find a networking group for web designers. Just type web designers in the little search thing in Facebook and you'll find groups with web designers. So, or technology support or things like that. you'll be able to find all kinds of networking groups, or yeah, so you can definitely go do a search and find those groups where your ideal clients are and other entrepreneurs. Now, a little info about Facebook groups. Every group has a group culture, as I like to say, and this includes the types of posts in the group, the feeling or vibe of the group, and the safety and authenticity level of the group, and how well the group is tended. So, or how well, if it's really spammy, or if the person who owns the group has control of the group to make sure that all the posts are good. But you want to make sure that you check out a group culture before you just jump in and start posting your post, because if you jump in and just start posting your information and you haven't really checked out the group, people in the group may look at you like, what is this person doing? This just is completely off, and then you'll just get ignored. So you want to make sure that you get a feeling for the group before you start posting and figuring out all of that stuff. Now, before you post anything, like I said, check out the group's culture and read the group's guidelines and rules. And there are lots of groups on Facebook. So like I said before, choose 3 to 7 to use as your Facebook networking groups. And I would probably max out at 10 groups, because that's going to take up a lot of time. Now, if Facebook is like your primary networking tool and that's the only platform you're using, yeah, you could probably handle up to 10. But if you're using other platforms and you're doing Pinterest and you're doing Instagram and you're doing Twitter and you're doing Snapchat and you're doing, whatever, all these different platforms, you want to make sure that you don't overwhelm yourself. So you want to make sure that if you are using Facebook to network, take into consideration how you're spreading out your time so you don't overwhelm. And then finally, you want to make sure that you go to the groups. Don't just respond to posts that you see in your newsfeed. The posts that show up in your newsfeed are the posts that are getting the most comments. And the posts that aren't getting comments or aren't getting the likes aren't going to show up on your newsfeed. So you want to make sure that you actually go to the group and scroll down to see what's actually being posted, because you're going to miss out on a lot of posts if you just wait for it to show up in your newsfeed. So here's what we have covered in this training video. We talked about the basic key of building relationships, how to build relationships in Facebook groups, the importance of name recognition on Facebook, and finding your Facebook groups. That is what we covered. We covered a lot of information in a very short amount of time. I'm trying to get through this because I know time constraints are tight on everybody, especially us mompreneurs. So this ends our training video number 2, and tomorrow you will be receiving training video number 3. Let's do the Facebook networking challenge, and this is really going to set the foundation for how the challenge is going to work during the next 2 weeks. So make sure that you check out this video tomorrow. It'll be in your inbox around 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you have any questions ever on anything that you hear in any of these videos, or you need any clarification, feel free to reach out to me. I'm completely here to help support you and answer any questions that you might have. So I hope you guys have a great afternoon.